Uh-huh. Black's a little inconsistent through here. In a four-stone game, I'll just take a second to talk about handicap play. Black has a big influence advantage at the beginning of the game. This means that the natural way to use these stones efficiently and effectively is to think in terms of an attack pressure game against white. Not to so much try and use the stones territorially, but use the stones to apply pressure to white. So that's easier said than done. White, of course, is going to try and dodge so that there's not so much pressure to be applied. But I kind of like, from Black's perspective in this stage, not to contest this area here. If white doesn't answer, now this dividing move, creating two weak groups, is excellent. So normally white is not intending to allow that to happen. White's intending to play over here. That allows black to come to this point. Now what has happened here is this. With this structure here and this position and this position, there's two sides. White can't get both of them. So that means that black is going to get either this move here or this move here. And so black is guaranteed a structure that starts in this corner, for example, and goes all the way along this side and all the way along here. When you create a structure, then you're playing the power pressure game against white. Because white's going to have to come into that structure, and that means that for the rest of the game, everywhere white plays, he's going to be badly outnumbered. That is perfect in a handicap game because it means that you don't have to play evenly with him to be very successful. As long as white is being defensive, he's losing. As soon as white can start to be attacking or aggressive, he can start winning. So when you force white to play where there's plenty more of your stones than there are of his stones, he's defending the whole game. If he's defending the whole game, he's losing. So I kind of recommend in a handicap game, typically looking to play this kind of a game. You start by building your structure, forcing your opponent to invade. When he invades, you attack him, forcing him to defend. Just technically speaking, this stone is out of place. It should be here. There's no reason to favor this stone versus this stone. So far as you're concerned, you take one, you take the other. Who cares? By playing the game move, now there's more pressure on this stone, but there's no pressure at all on this stone. What's going to happen here is that white is in a position where he can dump this stone and develop this stone, and you're not going to get that much in the end. Although, in fact, white plays sort of defensively here. If I'm white, I'm going to, especially with this move being out of position. If black goes for this area, it's going to be easy for white to take it away from him. If black goes for this area, then that's okay. But that means that white's going to be stabilized over here, and this stone is going to be more of a burden to black. But the thing from white's perspective is you can't be submissive. You can't let black dictate the game to you. If black doesn't respond to your moves, you make him respond to your moves. You play the corner, he doesn't answer, you play it again. You just keep... What you're trying to do, I'll tell you that from white's standpoint, you are trying to create a local numerical advantage. You're trying to create some portion of the board where you've got more stones than your opponent does. You have more stones, that means you're entitled to more. You're giving a handicap, that means that tactically speaking you expect to be superior. With tactical superiority and numerical superiority, you have a very good chance of scoring very large profits. You can kill him and get everything. Or you can torture him and force him to cast off some stones and live small. You can get more than you have coming to you in those areas more easily. The burden is on him. He's outnumbered. If he's not careful, he can easily die. And he's tactically outnumbered as well. So as a white in a handicap game, your objective is to create local areas where you have more stones than your opponent does, and then to put the hammer down right there. So when your opponent doesn't answer, in this local area of the corner, there's two white stones and one black stone already. So you're not going to get a lot because it's a Joseki who's going to have an idea how to play. But notwithstanding that, you're in a good position to get a gain for yourself and move on. So black changed his mind, decided he wanted to get out of here before he got hurt. That's fair enough. Small area. there's nothing good in this area. From white's standpoint, if your opponent doesn't give you the opportunity to get a numerical advantage early, I just try and break the board up into small pieces. So the big area here is the upper side. I was saying that your opponent would like to get a structure going from here all the way over to here. Well, at this point in time, if white comes into this upper side, let's say he plays here, he's already broken that up. He's prevented black from getting the kind of structure he wants to get. White's already gaining in this game to some extent. This is the big area here. Even in a handicap game, you need to come after your opponent, but you have to let the game flow as well. In here, if black counters with a seal attack, this game is already over. See here, black, when you give your opponent power, that means that it becomes virtually impossible to create the winning condition, numerical superiority or in some area of the board. When he's got power, where are you going to ever get numerical superiority? So it becomes very difficult if your opponent builds for power. This is territorially perhaps a little bit slack, but in a four-stone game, territory doesn't matter. The creation of this power and the fact that white is only getting points, 10 points per group, means that the rest of this game is going to be very hard on white. Okay. White's not at that. If you're a little bit concerned, just simply play here and don't help white out. White is not thinking about getting any kind of quick life for himself here. That's not his plan. However, from black's perspective, well, this is a nice point. You have here an area where white is developing a numerical superiority. I like black to be conservative. So depressing when your groups die. And black doesn't need to be afraid, even having played this. He can take a stance over here. In this area of the battlefield, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black stones to 2 white. Black has a substantial numerical advantage there. If you widen the battlefield and include this area, then you add 2 more white stones and 2 more black stones, and so the numerical advantage is still pretty substantial. Black doesn't have anything to be afraid of. White has nothing better to do than something like this, and now black just moves out in this way. I would just take what he's giving me. He wants to dump those 2 stones, I'll take them. That's another key to the handicap game is black. You have a nice looking thing that your opponent is just letting you have, take it. Don't hold out for more. You might be entitled to more, but you don't need more. A kind of a painless, substantial profit is much better than a risky and questionable greater profit. This honey doesn't work.
Well, I couldn't see a way to
Is it hard? No, white can just cut.
In this case, I would develop the black stone with this move. This is a key point of the white position on the left side. So already your stone is on a good point. Now, what is white going to do? A problem with this kind of cutting shape from black's perspective is that you have a dominantly restricted situation, and no matter what you play. And then when you play here, you're not making it any better. This kind of tactic is often a good way to develop. If you get to connect here, you have ideal cutting shape. and maximum pressure on the opponent. White is not going to want to let that happen, but what can he do? Well, he can do this much. Okay, fine, good for white. If he does this, you just took these stones painlessly. That's over, it's done. If he's wanting to fight on both sides, now, again, this stone is a ladder breaker. Now he's still got to defend these stones in this area where he's outnumbered, and he's got this weak group where he's outnumbered, and what does he do for an encore? So that when you develop here, white is left with very little in the way of good options. Probably the best thing for white to do is just actually to dump the two stones on the upper side and to develop into the center.